This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Welcome back, everyone. We're back to another episode of Rooted Latinas, a podcast where we share a journey of adapting from a Latino household to life in the U.S., discussing challenges, transforming obstacles, and celebrating personal growth. We are your hosts, Maria Rocha,
Yeymi Tovar,
Rocio Hermosillo,
and Mariana Hernandez.
How are you?
How y'all been? I missed everyone.
Literally.
I'm like, what have you been up to? Where have you been? It's been too long.
Yeah.
It's been so much going on.
One of us looks like a new person.
Right? Can we point him out real quick?
We got Barbie in the house.
You know, it's really funny because my niece was like, "You look like Barbie."
Aww.
Dude, I was like, you know, I put pink on and everything.
Latina Barbie.
Yeah. Girl, soak it up. No, it looks really good on you.
Thank you, ladies. I wanted to try something new. Do you guys ever feel like when you do like a drastic change, you feel like
A new person.
So, yeah, like a new person. Like,
Hasta caminas diferente.
yeah,
A little strut in your walk.
right?
I love it.
Right? Which is that's how you're supposed to feel, right? You
Absolutely.
feel more beautiful.
I have to show you guys sometime, but I used to have, like, my hair used to be like that.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Prove it.
When I was, like, middle school to high school.
Really? Like all of it? Completely blonde or?
Casi, yeah, I'll have to find pictures.
No way.
Yeah.
I want proof.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Yeah.
How'd you like it?
I liked it a lot.
See?
Yeah.
Would you
But
go
I worked
back?
at a salon, so I could, like,
Retouch
maintain it all the time.
Yeah.
It was nice. Smart.
That
Yeah.
was the only thing that I was like, because it is.
Yeah.
You don't want it to look yellow. Luego mi mamá dice que son ¿cómo le dicen los pelos de elote?
Corn husk.
Corn husk.
Why'd you say that? Now I can't unsee it.
I don't want to. If it gets to that, y'all need to tell me. But
That's awesome.
You've given us permission.
Right.
Right.
No, I'm excited. I feel like it's been such a while since we've talked. And the topic today is perfect to kind of talk about how do we balance everything, work-life balance. And it was actually, I had done a post on my social media, like, what do you guys want to know about what you guys would like to talk about during our podcast? And that was one of the topics. So I think it'd be great to speak on that.
That's perfect for us.
Yes.
Because I'm sure it's, like, different for all of us. So
1,000. I was really curious. I know before we got to chatting, I was asking Yeymi, like, how have you been able to balance everything with, momhood as of 7 months ago to managing, leading a branch, and then you do so many other things in between.
outside of here.
Yes.
I know. And yeah, like I was telling you, one of the things I see myself doing now is, like, really prioritizing, because, like, there's things that I'm saying no to that I would have normally be like, yep, let's go.
Right.
Or I'm like, okay, how do I do it and bring the baby? And what do I, like, you have to think of all these things you have to pack. Like, how many bottles do I take? Do I pump? Like, everything, it's like, it's just so much harder. But luckily, really blessed to have, like, flexible work. So, like, I go home, I'm really close to my house. So I go home for every lunch. I see her, come back. I take fresh milk every time, so I'm able to do all that, which is super nice, like, being that close to home. But yeah, I think everyone is, like, so, like, supportive around me that, everyone knows, like, okay, yeah, she can make it work, or she's bringing the baby, or, whatever. So
I think that's so cool. And you said two things that really stood out to me. You said, say no. You're saying no a lot more. And then the second thing was who you're surrounded by in your support system.
Support, yeah.
And it's funny because that has been actually one of the topics we have been talking about is how do we stop people pleasing and saying yes, and how do we start saying no more often?
Yeah.
And because they're saying, like, once you start saying no and being very clear of your intentions, who you are, where you want to go or be, life gets simpler and a lot easier.
And then, like, how does everyone deal with, like, guilt of, like, okay, like, if I do leave the baby for a little bit, I'm gonna feel guilty, but I'm also, like, my friends, like, really want me there, and you feel guilty. So it's just like, but then again, if you're surrounded by the right people, they just support you, and you're like, nope, we get it, or whatever.
I love how you're also, I feel like you're being very intentional with your time, how you said, or even making certain moments, experiences. Like you're like, I go, for lunch, I go and see her and you're spending time with her. I think that's also huge with like, you could be having lunch here, pero estás tomando el tiempo to be like, oh, you know what, let me go and see her.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like, when I was home for lunch, we set up her little, like, play mat, and, like, I was just watching her, and she was about to crawl, so I was, like, doing little things with her, and I'm like, okay, are you going to crawl before I go back to work, like,
I'm not
like, this is a big
yet.
thing, yeah. So all those, I'm not taking anything for granted. It's awesome so far, so.
I love that for you. And I think mom guilt is a legit thing. And it goes back to ourselves and what we're telling ourselves sometimes, One of our coaches was saying, like, instead of like saying, yeah, you want to be there for them, it's what experiences do you want your kids to have to make sure that they get, because their experiences ends up turning out like their projection on life, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ooh, I hadn't thought about that.
Exactly. Yeah. I love when you guys share like things you've learned from your coaches. That's like things you're paying for were
Heck yeah.
like, we were for free.
No,
so that's awesome.
What about you, Mariana?
No, I resonate a lot with you, Yeymi, because it is a real thing, like mom guilt, right? I mean, I'm sure you also go through it, Rocio, as well. Like, but I think one quote for me, transitioning into a mother and then being an entrepreneur and just balancing both things, is one, learning to harmonize everything. Like, what I mean by that is setting expectations. Like for me, right, it's my clients. Like, hey, I have 2 kids. So you might hear my kids in the background, right? Yeah. It's just really enticing them into what you do day to day, and then giving them the experiences as well. Like, life shouldn't stop because you have kids. Like, it should just be additional experiences, right? So like, if you enjoy going to movies, just take them to go to movies. If you love to bike ride, take them bike riding. Like, they're not going to adjust to that life if you just keep them secluded. And I didn't learn that until way later on, that now with Lorenzo, it's different because now I know that and I embrace it. I think that's just another thing too, like embracing that change, right? Or that just now being a mother and, having kids, embracing everything and allowing them to also experience that with you.
Yeah, I love that. I can't wait till she's old enough for me to pull her on my bike.
Right. Yes.
My best friend, one of my childhood best friends, I admired her so much because she's always been like super active and she loves to work out. So when she had her first child, she would take her and just attach it to the back and she's biking and she would continue to go. She now has her gym in her house. And so like her daughter is watching and she's working out with her. And so it goes back to like, nos ponen tanta atención, like they really watch what we're doing and they copy what they see at the end of the day. And I think it's just so cool, the intentionality from both of y'all as mothers, that I take notes. Like literally, I'll take notes. I'm like, oh, that's good because I didn't know. For me, it was a little different because Jay grew up with me. I was 18. It was like a kid having another kid,
Yeah.
So our relationship is so different, but it's so exciting because he saw me grow and now I'm watching him grow too. And I go back to, okay, everything I did, mijo, was because that was the best I knew at that time.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about, Mom?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. But ahora it's quality time versus always that quantity, and having them understand and know like, this is the vision, this is the goal, and this is why Mom and Dad are working so hard. It is for this purpose, and once they understand or they see you talk about that every day, like, hey, this is what we're working for. He's like, that's so cool. So now he's like, how many appointments do you guys have this week?
Yeah.
It's like, accountability on another level.
And you can't let him down.
No, so when it goes back to like work-life balance, I don't think it exists. I think certain days you're going to have a day that's going to be full of work. And then the next day, it might be another day full of work, but hey, did I make the time and put in there to insert like connecting with him? Even if it's in the morning and it's at night and or it's at lunch or celebrating my wins via text, And then making sure that there's a certain day of the week that I'm dedicated completely to them, to him.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a good one. What she's saying, that it's not necessarily 50-50.
Right. Yeah. That's very
not
hard.
gonna be. And when we, I think of it that way, that it needs to be like 50-50 or whatever, that's when we like struggle, because it's not ideal. So that's huge.
I think our coach told us, right, the other day, like he told us, all of us, I need you to set a time on Friday. He said Fridays, but every Friday you're going to go to dinner with your husband or your partner every single time at, I think he said 5 or 6 o'clock, whatever it is. Yeah. You cannot change that. You may not change that appointment that date. You must honor it. And so when it's like that, it's like, oh, now it's just truly intentional. Now, as we're before, I'm not going to lie, I'd be like, oh, I got a new client. Like, let's go. And it's like, no, because you are what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
I think on top of that too is like going back to what Rocio was saying is, when is your time as well? You know, I feel especially as women and as men as well, right? For anyone that's listening, but when is your time? When is your time to fill that cup for yourself? And what is that you enjoy doing? Yeah. And taking that time is important as women to be able to pour into other people's cups as well, because nosotros sabemos si nosotros no estamos bien, like everything stops running, right?
Especially as a woman.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I'm like, no, I love hearing all that, because for everyone out there, I'm not a mom yet, so I learned so much from these ladies on like what to do, what not to do, tips and everything. For me, I feel like it was, for the longest time, it was we would bump a lot of heads when it came to like, I never had to stop of working. Like I was always so, like when you're so passionate about what you do, it just like, you can go all day doing it. Right. And so I never had that time to like, you know, my work life was good. My life home I thought was good, but honestly it wasn't, because it was like, you never had time. I was never there. And to me, I was like living my best life. But to my partner, I probably felt something different at the time, you know? And so I think you get to a point where it's like, wait, something is wrong. So I think one of the things that I started doing a lot is similar to what our coach said, is just putting time aside where it's just him and I. Yeah. But the time aside had to be something we both enjoyed. And so, like, we would love going to the movies, and we stopped. And so when our coach was like, you know, have a date every Friday, I'm like, what should we do? And right away, we're like, let's just go back to going to the movies. Like, that was something that we enjoyed, even though we don't talk through it. But it's like when you watch a movie, you experience a whole different way. It's kind of like reading a book together. Yeah. Right. And so for me, it was just really being intentional with the time that I set for him, and just being present. Yeah. One biggest thing that helped me when I first started is he ended up getting into the same industry as me. He was a home inspector and I was a realtor. So he had an idea of everything that went throughout the whole process. And then he started understanding like, oh, I understand why you have to get up and take that phone call. Oh, I understand why you have to reply to this, or why you have to go to showings on the weekends. He started seeing like it is part of the job. And sometimes they don't know what they don't know of what you do. And we laugh about this. Sometimes they're like, all you guys do is go out to eat or go have fun. But it's like, we showcase that, but we don't showcase all the other hours of like zoning in, having conversations where we push through because things just need to get done. Yeah. So it's really like bringing them into your world and showing them what you do. And like Rocio said, the story of why you're doing that. Like, I'm not just working every day to bust my ass. Like, there's a bigger purpose and a bigger passion behind it. And I think that has helped us grow together and support each other's vision. Mm-hmm. So when Coach said that about the dates, I was like, yes, it was a good reminder.
1,000%. So for those listening, if you've been wondering, you know, how do you balance everything? Mm-hmm. I think it's one tip I have is just lead with grace. Like, even with yourself, it's not going to be perfect. I've been trying to perfect this for the past 5+ years and still working on it. I think the biggest thing is accepting, hey, I'm working on it. It's getting better. Every day is going to look different. Mm-hmm. And as long as I'm communicating with my family, which I think that's the biggest part for, I think all of us, is our family. hey, this is what my day looks like. Like, I would just say communicate. We plan Sundays. We have an hour. It's a family Alanese reunion, like get together every week to talk about finances, talk about groceries, talk about when laundry's going to get done. So like literally leading your family, like almost a business.
Yeah.
And
Structure.
I guess that's what it is. It's just structure, because you can let things go so easily, and that's when things start to fall. And that's what I really noticed. But I would love for all of us to just kind of go around. What would you recommend to someone that's trying to harmonize or do that work-life balance?
I liked what you said with the boundaries, you know. But I do like, I don't know. I'll let you go first, because I don't want to steal what you were saying about.
Yeah, no, I think one thing for me is quality versus quantity. Like, you can spend time with whoever for 5 hours, but were you really actually present? Were you actually looking at them in the eye? Were you actually having a conversation? Or were you actually just being, you know, at the movies at the present time? And just creating that type of environment when you're with someone, like quality time versus quantity time.
I love that. I was gonna say one thing that like even this morning, y'all, like I think this hit me when they always say like everyone has the same hours of the day, right? Like you can, if you say you have no time for something, wake up earlier. And so today when I woke up, it was 5 a.m. and the sun was literally coming out. And I went to go on a run. I came back and it was like 6:15 and the sun was out. And I'm like, wow, I have been waking up at 7:30 and the sun has already been out for 2 hours. Like, how intentional am I being with my time? And how much more could I be getting done earlier if I would just wake up earlier, right?
Yeah.
And how much more time will I have left in the evening to spend more time either for myself to fill up my cup, make sure I'm good, or even for family. So I go back to like, what is your intentionality behind the time, the hours that you have in a day? Like, what does that look like? And really analyze, like, are you just sitting on the couch scrolling through social media for 2 hours on TikTok? Or are you gonna get up and go and be with family, be with your kids, be with your friends? Like, I think it's just going back to really being purposeful of the time that you have in a day.
Well, the intentionality.
Intentionality.
Yeah. What about you?
I did share. It was your turn.
Oh, it was?
I can share
I
another
remember
one.
I was gonna say with her what she was saying with the boundaries, like letting like your work know or whatever, like, hey, I have something going on at this time, you know. But then it goes back to like same thing when you were saying like this is scheduled, and if something else comes up, like this spot's taken, you know.
Yeah.
So just being more like true to that, and because it's easy to sometimes we say, hey, never mind, I'm just going to skip it this time. Then it becomes like a habit, you know? So just sticking with what you say.
Yes.
I think that one hit real hard, because they say when you do it one time, that's an anomaly. But once you do it twice, now it's a habit.
Yeah.
So it's like, where are those things that we can look at to change?
I also want to echo the first thing that you said, Yeymi, that I think is so powerful too, is like learning how to say no and what you're saying yes to, because it's like you said, you're like, am I going to go hang out with my friends or spend time over here, you know, and not feeling guilty? But it's like sometimes it goes a longer way, really choosing yourself versus.
Yeah. And I feel like, and you had said something about like, remember how we were saying who we surround ourselves with too? Because like, for example, I have friends coming in this weekend, one from Florida, one from Minnesota, they're all coming.
Fun.
And we were trying to make plans for Saturday. And my friend one other one that just moved her back from Minnesota, she's like, how about we all meet at Jamie's house? Because baby Gia will be there.
Yes.
You know, so they're all like coming to me because that's awesome. They know, like they understand, and they're all obsessed with her too, as much as, you know, almost as much as I am. So that is super helpful to have like friends like that they're coming to me, they know, and we're just going to hang out at the house and make something of it, you know? So that makes it easier for me.
Well, you said your friends and your workplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's so important.
Yes.
I think we all had really, really good tips, ladies. Is there anything else you guys wanted to share?
I would say just be gracious with yourself, and you know, it's like you said, there's no really a work life work-life balance is just harmonizing everything and being surrounded by the right individuals.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Being intentional, like you said.
Being intentional.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yay. Well, till next time,
Yes.
if you guys have any topics you would love to hear or get to know more of,
Message us.
hit up any of us.
Thank
We're
you
always
guys
here.
so much.
Thank you guys.
See you guys
Till
next
next time.
time.